In what way did your sacrifice of coming off the bench embody the spirit of this entire group?
We got a team full of believers. We all go to chapel before every game. We all believe, and we all say God has a way for you, a purpose for you. This is my purpose, and I accepted it, and I got great teammates. Steph, I want to be just like Steph when I grow up. Just a God-fearing man, great guy.
June 19th, 2016, Father's Day, Oracle Arena. The Golden State Warriors just blew a 3-1 lead in the NBA Finals. 73 wins during the regular season, the most in NBA history. And it all ends with a 93-89 loss to the Cleveland Cavaliers in Game 7. LeBron got his ring for Cleveland. The Warriors' historic season ends in heartbreak. Steph Curry walks off the court. In the press conference afterward, he says, "It hurts, man. That's all I'm really kind of marinating on right now." But here's what gets me about that moment, bro. While the world is watching the Warriors deal with the most painful loss in franchise history, pay attention to what happens next. Ayesha Curry posts on social media, "Everything according to his plan. Always. Glory to God." Steph's sister Sadell tweets, "God and family always stay consistent. That's why I stay unbothered." A month later, Ayesha tells Hot Living magazine, "My faith is the foundation of everything that I do. It's what keeps our family strong, and it's what keeps us going on a daily basis. It's what makes the losses okay. Nothing is ever really that bad." Most of us, when everything falls apart, when the thing we've worked for all year doesn't happen, we question God. We get bitter. We wonder if he's even listening. But the Curry family, in their worst moment, they're giving God glory. Not because they're trying to look spiritual, but because that's what was actually built in them. Years later, Steph would say that loss would stay with him forever, for good and bad reasons. He said the lessons are in those moments, not so much on that night when you're walking off the court. That tells you something about the foundation that was built in him long before he ever made a three-pointer that mattered. I'm Donovan, and this is Faith Leaders Who Changed History, where we look at the people who didn't just talk about faith, but built something with it that outlasted them. Before we dive in real quick, if this episode hits you, I want to hear from you. Drop a comment below. Tell me what part of Steph's story resonates most with you. Is it how he handled the ankle injuries? How he maintains his faith under pressure? How he multiplies his influence through others? Drop it in the comments and let's build a conversation. And while you're at it, like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share it with someone who needs to hear it. Today we're talking about Steph Curry. Yeah, the basketball player. But I'm not here to talk about his handles or his shooting percentage or how he changed the game with the three-point shot. I want to show you how a man takes a God-given gift and turns excellence into an act of worship. How he built something that outlasts basketball. And how his faith became a multiplier. Not just for his game, but for everyone watching him. By the end of this, you're going to see that the dedication you bring to your craft, whatever it is directly correlated to how God can use you to bring glory to him. Let's go. Let's start with Dell Curry, because Dell wasn't just Steph's dad. Dell was the blueprint. You know what? I might need to do a whole video on Dell. Remind me about that, because this man's story is something else. Dell played 16 years in the NBA, never an all-star, never a starter most years, but consistent, faithful, did his job with excellence, whether the camera was on him or not. Smooth shooter off the bench for the Charlotte Hornets. And here's the key. Dell never let basketball define him. Dell and his wife, Sonia, she ran a Christian Montessori school. Y'all, this woman wasn't playing around. They built something in their home before Steph ever touched a basketball. Every morning, family devotional time. Not optional, not when you feel like it. Every single morning, that family was in the Word together. Think about that. Steph grew up watching his dad be excellent at basketball, but he also watched his dad be faithful when nobody was watching. He watched his dad treat opponents with respect. He watched his dad come home and lead his family spiritually. That's the difference between talent and character, bro. Now, Sonia ran this Christian Montessori school where Steph and his siblings went. This isn't just about education. This is about integration. Faith wasn't compartmentalized in the Curry house. It wasn't Sunday morning faith. It was woven into everything. How you learn, how you play, how you treat people, how you handle success and failure. Then comes Davis in college. Bob McKillop sees the skinny kid from Charlotte. Big schools passed on him. Duke didn't want him. North Carolina didn't want him. Too small, too weak. The big program said he'd never make it. McKillop saw something different. McKillop wasn't just a basketball coach. He integrated faith principles into everything. He taught these young men that how you practice is how you play. That excellence in the details becomes excellence in the moment. That your character off the court determines your capacity on it. Watch that 2008 NCAA tournament run when Davidson almost beat Kansas in the Elite Eight. Steph dropping 40 points against Gonzaga, leading his team deeper than anyone thought possible. That's not just talent. That's a young man who learned discipline, who learned to work when nobody's watching, who learned that every possession matters because everything you do matters. That foundation was getting built, layer by layer. Now let's talk about Aisha. They met at a church youth group in Charlotte when they were teenagers. Aisha initially had a no athletes rule. She thought athletes were arrogant, full of themselves. But here's what she said about Steph. He was so focused on God that I had to make an exception. Let that sink in. In a world where athletes were known for their egos, Steph stood out because of his humility and his faith. They reconnected in college, started dating in 2008, got married at 23. Some people said too young, but Steph knew. He said, why waste time when you found the right one? I knew her faith. I knew her family. I knew what she was about, a very faith-oriented woman. That foundation, that shared faith foundation, that's what allowed them to build something that could withstand the pressure that was coming. The fame, the money, the spotlight, the scrutiny. Because here's what most people don't understand. Success doesn't build character. Success reveals it. Pressure doesn't create what's in you, it exposes it. And what was in Steph? What had been built in him through Dell and Sonia, through Davidson and McKillop, through his relationship with Aisha. We were about to find out.
Here's where it gets real, bro. Second season in the NBA, 2011 to 2012. Steph's ankle keeps giving out. Not once, not twice, 5 times in one season. He plays only 26 games. Picture this, December 26, 2011. One game after making his delayed season debut following his first ankle surgery, he's playing against the Chicago Bulls. He rolls his ankle again, hobbles off the court. Season basically over right there. April 25th, 2012. He's going into his second ankle surgery in 2 years. He's 24 years old. His rookie contract is about to expire. The doctors don't know what they're going to find when they cut him open. Del Curry and Steph's agent Jeff Austin are in the waiting room at the Southern California Orthopedic Institute. Dr. Richard Ferkel, who's performed surgery on hundreds of NBA players, comes out before the procedure and explains the range of possibilities. 3 options. Option number 1, clean out scar tissue and debris, 4 months recovery, best case scenario. Option number 2, pretty invasive surgery, much longer recovery, career in question. Or option number 3, the big one, structural damage so severe that his career could be over before it really started. Steph goes under anesthesia. His last thought as the drugs hit, please be option number 1. Del and Jeff are praying in the waiting room. Sonia's praying back in Charlotte. The whole family knows this could be the end. Here's what Steph said years later when he started his podcast with his dad. Y'all know how nervous I was? Going through surgery in general is nerve-wracking. The year before I did a full reconstruction, but I still wasn't feeling all the way right. When I went under the anesthesia, those were my last thoughts. Please be option number 1. I woke up, saw y'all, and kind of came to my senses. It was option 1. But even that wasn't the end of the struggle. July 2012. Steph's rehabbing with his trainer, Brandon Payne. 3 months after the surgery, he's supposed to be getting better, but one day he stops and says something that reveals where he really is mentally. I feel like I've been doing nothing but rehabbing for 2 years. I feel like I'm never going to play again. How many of you have been there? When you're like, God, is this it? Is this all there is? I thought you had something bigger for me. I thought you called me to something. But all I see is setback after setback. But listen to what his mom Sonia was doing during this whole time. She wasn't just sitting around hoping. She wasn't just telling him it'll be okay. She was speaking scripture into him. Over and over, she texted him Romans 8:28. And we know that in all things, God works for the good of those who love him, who have been called according to his purpose. Not some of the things, all things, even the ankle injuries, even the doubt, even the possibility of his career ending before it really started, even feeling like you're never going to play again. Steph said later, to me, that was something I really believed. Whatever I put my mind to, whatever I decided, I was going to really work at it and have that spirit of accomplishment. That's faith, bro. Faith isn't pretending the problem doesn't exist. Faith is believing that God can use the problem for his purpose. Now here's the crazy part. The Milwaukee Bucks wanted to trade for Steph. Their medical staff looked at his ankles and said, no, too risky, they won't hold up. The Warriors had to choose. Keep the injury-prone kid or trade him and keep their other young star, Monte Ellis. They kept Steph. But because of the injury risk, they could only offer him a 4-year, $44 million contract. In today's NBA, that's lunch money for a player of his caliber. But at the time, with those ankles, nobody knew if he'd ever be healthy enough to earn more. That contract is now considered one of the greatest bargain deals in NBA history. But in that moment, that was faith. The Warriors had faith. Steph had faith. And God was preparing something nobody could see. Because here's what Steph did. He didn't quit. He didn't get bitter. He changed his whole approach. He realized he couldn't keep depending on his ankles the way he had been. He had to rebuild from the core out. When Kiki Lyles joined the Warriors as performance director in 2013, he saw something. Steph could deadlift about 200 pounds when he first entered the league. After the intensive training program Lyles designed, 400 pounds, more than twice his body weight. Only the backup center on the team could lift more. But it wasn't just physical. It was spiritual. Steph was learning what it means to trust God's process when you can't see the outcome. To do the work when nobody's watching. To strengthen what's invisible so what's visible can manifest. Real quick, if you're still here, that means this is hitting. Do me a solid. Like this episode, subscribe to the channel, and share it with your network. The algorithm helps us reach more people when you engage, and honestly, these stories need to get out there. All right, back to it. Here's where everything changes. Most athletes say they play for championships, for records, for legacy. LeBron James said his motivation was chasing the ghost of Michael Jordan, trying to be the greatest player ever. Steph said something completely different. In a 2014 interview with Decision magazine, he said, I know why I play the game, and it's not to score 30 points a night, but it's to use the stage I'm on. I've been put here for a specific purpose, to be a witness, and to share my testimony as I go through it. Not after it's done, as I'm going through it. That's ministry, bro. That's understanding that your craft, whatever it is, isn't separate from your faith. Your excellence in your craft is an act of worship. Let me ask you the same question I ask in groups I facilitate. What are you building your excellence for? Is it for your glory or God's? Because here's the thing. If it's for your glory, every setback will destroy you. But if it's for His glory, every setback becomes a setup. Steph doesn't separate basketball Steph from faith Steph. His pursuit of excellence in basketball is his worship. Every practice, every shot,
every game. When he makes a three-pointer and points to heaven, it's not just a gesture. That's him saying, this gift came from you, and it goes back to you. His shoes say I can do all things, from Philippians 4:13. His Twitter bio lists believer before anything else. He told reporters, I've always been the believer that the Lord has put whatever talent in you, whatever gift he has put in you. He wants you to get the most out of that. Now I got to tell you about Pastor Earl Smith, because his role in this story is crucial. And yo, I definitely need to do a video on Earl Smith. This man's story is wild. Earl was shot 6 times at age 27. That near-death experience led to his conversion and calling to ministry. He spent 23 years as a chaplain at San Quentin State Prison, walking with men facing death, men wrestling with real demons, before becoming the Warriors chaplain. Earl brought something different to the NBA chaplaincy. He wasn't about surface-level Christianity. He'd walked with men in their darkest moments. So when he came to the Warriors, he could speak to the real pressures these guys faced. Earl developed what he called the ministry of excellence concept with Steph. The idea that playing basketball at the highest level, with integrity, with excellence, with humility, is itself an act of worship. Not just what you say, how you carry yourself, how you treat opponents, how you respond to referees, how you handle success and failure. That's the witness. Steph told Earl, it's not about hitting people over the head with a Bible and telling them they have to believe a certain thing or think a certain way. Rather, through living with excellence and character, the desire is to show a different way, and it's working. Steph leads Bible studies with his teammates. He's got a group chat they call the discipleship group, where they share Bible verses every day. Text message Bible study, bro. He told reporters, you ask anybody in their walk of faith. It's all about finding accountability partners and finding people that can encourage you in your walk. That's multiplication. That's not just, I got mine. That's, I'm bringing others with me. Now let me tell you more about Andre Iguadala, because his story shows how faith multiplies through relationship. Iggy became a Christian at a young age through his God-fearing grandmother's influence. But watch what happened when he joined the Warriors in 2013. In 2015, after winning the Finals MVP, which was historic because he came off the bench most of the season, Iggy's first words at the podium were, first of all, God is great. God is great. I want to thank all the chaplains across the NBA for helping us out every single night. Then he said this, we got a team full of believers. We all go to chapel before every game. We all believe and we all say, God has a way for you, a purpose for you. This is my purpose. But here's where it gets powerful. When reporters asked about his sacrifice of coming off the bench for the team, Iggy said, I want to be just like Steph when I grow up. Just a God-fearing man, great guy. Think about that. A veteran player, Finals MVP, saying he wants to be like Steph when he grows up. Not because of basketball, because of character, because of faith. In 2023, on Shannon Sharp's podcast, Iggy said something that might sound controversial, but listen to why he said it. I'm saying to myself, I think I've met the closest thing to Jesus Christ. Not to put that on him, but I've never seen an individual who doesn't stray away from who he is in terms of who he is as a person. So you know what you're getting night in and night out. He said Steph is simultaneously a killer on the court and a virtuous, kind man off it. He tries to emulate Steph's life every day and admits he fails miserably. That's not blasphemy, bro. That's a man seeing Christ reflected in another man's life. That's what Jesus meant when he said, let your light shine before others, that they may see your good deeds and glorify your Father in heaven. Iggy's faith was strengthened by walking with Steph. That's multiplication. And it's not just Iggy. You got Draymond Green. Yeah, the same Draymond who sometimes loses his cool on the court. But he's on record saying, I may lose a friend or two, but I will never lose my faith. One day this world is going to end, and I want my Lord and Savior to know that no matter what, I can't lose you. Klay Thompson is Catholic, Shaw Livingston is Lutheran. Even Kevin Durant, when he joined the Warriors, talked about how the team's faith culture attracted him. He was baptized at Hillsong, New York City in 2013, reads the Bible every day. He told reporters, that's just something that we all have, a spiritual connection. Seeing all the guys that they have in chapel, you can tell that they really love Jesus. Now, Steve Kerr, the coach,
He's interesting. His grandparents were Christian missionaries, but Kerr himself hasn't publicly identified with any religious group. But what he has done is create space for players to live out their faith authentically. When Mark Jackson was the previous coach, more vocally religious, there was tension between Jackson's approach and the organization. Kerr came in and said, "I'm extremely open-minded. I believe in the sanctity of the locker room." Phil Jackson was very spiritual, more Buddhist than Christian, but it didn't matter. He gave his players space to think. So Kerr created an environment where nearly a dozen guys could attend Bible study, where chapel happens before every game, where players can be open about their faith, but nobody's forcing it. That's wisdom, bro. You can't force faith. You create space for it. And this is happening in Oakland, then San Francisco, one of the most secular cities in America. The Warriors organization is diverse in every way, but somehow they've created a culture where people with different backgrounds and beliefs can function together with mutual respect. That's actually biblical. Paul said, "I become all things to all people, so that by all possible means I might save some." You don't have to compromise your faith to work with people who believe differently, but you do have to lead with love and respect. Now, I gotta talk about something uncomfortable, because leadership isn't just about the highlight moments. It's about how you handle the mess. October 2022, training camp. Draymond Green punches Jordan Poole in the face during practice. Video goes viral. The whole world is watching to see how the Warriors, this team that's supposed to be about faith and brotherhood, is going to handle this. Here's what Steph said later. "I can't tell you how many conversations we had from training camp when the incident happened to the beginning of the season. We're trying to make sure everybody's on the same page in terms of expectations on a daily basis of how you deal with personal relationships, how you try to be professional when it comes to the job that we're all here to do." Then he said this, and this is key. "My job is to maintain the joy, not to pick sides, not to throw Draymond under the bus, not to protect Jordan at all costs." His job was to maintain the joy, to keep the team focused on their purpose even when things fell apart. Steve Kerr later admitted that was probably the angriest he'd ever been at Draymond. The incident made that entire season incredibly difficult for everybody. Eventually, they had to trade Poole to Washington. But watch how Steph handled it. He didn't air it out publicly. He didn't quit on the team. He didn't use his platform to create division. He had countless conversations with Draymond, with Jordan, with coaches, with front office. He said, "Unless you were in this building, having these conversations daily, you can always talk about what could have been punishment-wise. But unless you were in here, it made everything a lot more complicated." That's Christ-like leadership, bro. Jesus didn't abandon Peter after he denied him 3 times. He restored him. He had a conversation with him. "Do you love me? Then feed my sheep." Steph couldn't fix everything. The situation wasn't perfect, but he could maintain his own integrity while trying to help both brothers navigate it. That's what it means to be a leader who's rooted in faith. You don't have all the answers, but you stay faithful to the process, even when it's messy. And you know what? After that trade, when Poole came back to Chase Center on December 23rd, 2023, watch how Steph handled it. They embraced during warm-ups. Real, genuine love. The Warriors played a tribute video. The crowd gave Poole a standing ovation. Steph dropped 30 points with 8 threes. Poole had 25. But after the game, more hugs, more love. That's what it looks like when your identity isn't in winning or losing. When your foundation is faith, you can love your brother even when things get messy. You can compete hard for 48 minutes, then embrace afterward. Because the relationship is bigger than the game. And Aisha, she's building her own platform. She told the Christian Post, "When Steph decided to play basketball, I had the same conversation with him that he had with me. Whatever you do it well, but do it for God." I think that's what has kept us grounded. They're not doing it for social media. They're not doing it for image. They're doing it because this is who they are. Their kids see it. Their son Cannon was caught on video leading worship before bedtime. Aisha posted, "Thank you for spearheading a faith-filled home. That's legacy, bro. That's building something that outlasts basketball. Now here's the full circle moment. Remember that 2016 loss to the Cavs we started with? That heartbreak on Father's Day? That was the test that refined everything Steph and his family had been building. Fast forward to 2017, Warriors are back in the finals. They beat the Cavaliers this time. Steph wins his second championship. And at the parade, what's he doing? He's holding Riley in one arm, microphone in the other, talking about faith. Then in 2018, 2022, more rings. Each time, same posture, same message. Glory to God. He told reporters, "People should know who I represent and why I'm here. It's because God's blessed me with the talent to play basketball and with a family to support me every day." Now watch how that faith multiplies beyond basketball. He and Aisha launched the Eat, Learn, Play Foundation in 2019. The mission? To end childhood hunger, increase access to quality education, and create safe spaces for kids to play. They've served over 25 million meals in Oakland since launching. They've rebuilt playgrounds. They funded literacy programs. Aisha said, "We want every child to feel seen and supported. We believe God placed us in this position to make an impact right here." That's the fruit of faith. That's multiplication. In 2022, Steph graduated from Davidson, 13 years after leaving college early for the NBA. He could have just moved on with life. He didn't need the degree, but he said, "Finishing is a promise I made to my mom and to myself. It's about faithfulness to what you start." He even gave the commencement address that day. Listen to what he told the graduates. "I am a firm believer that what God has for you, it's yours. No one can take that away from you. Be faithful in the small things. That's where the foundation is built." Come on, man. That's a sermon. And that's the pattern of his life. Foundation, testing, ministry, multiplication. The world sees highlights. God sees habits. The world sees trophies. God sees faithfulness. And this is what I want you to take away from Steph's story. You don't need an NBA platform to make an impact. You don't need millions of followers to have ministry. You just need faithfulness where you are. If you're a creative, create with excellence. If you're an athlete, play with integrity. If you're a teacher, teach with love. If you're a parent, lead your home with faith. Because when your foundation is strong, your impact multiplies. Steph Curry didn't just change basketball. He changed what it looks like to live your faith out loud. Not by preaching sermons, by living one. I'm Donovan, and this is Faith Leaders Who Changed History. Before you go, tell me in the comments, what's one area in your life where you need to rebuild your foundation? What's one thing you've been struggling with that you can surrender to God today? And if this episode spoke to you, like, share, and subscribe so more people can discover these stories of faith in action. Till next time, keep walking in excellence. Keep walking in purpose. And remember, God is working all things together for your good.